now kick off our session for today. Good morning, everyone, to everyone back in the UK. Good afternoon to my speakers. Good evening to also some of my other speakers. So, thank you very much for joining us today. This is going to be workshop number 2 in a series of workshops that we've organized for the Department for International Trade. And today's workshop is called Regulatory and Procurement Practices in the UAE's Construction Sector. In this specific workshop, we will also be covering a few marketing considerations that you need to bear in mind when you're looking at the UAE as a potential export market. So we will start off with a quick COVID update in the UAE. I think the most important one that we would want to highlight is the establishment of a UK UAE travel corridor that was announced on November 15th. What that means is there's going to be a substantial difference in the way quarantines are going to be affected for travelers between these two countries. Also, there have been 1,000+ daily new cases here in the UAE. But having said that, the government has managed the situation quite well over the last few months. So there's been massive amounts of tracing and tracking and making sure that we're all safe. Life has pretty much uh, returned to normalcy here, but masks are very much mandatory in this part of the world when you are stepping out of your homes and offices. So with that, I will now move on to the running order for the event today. We will start off with regulatory considerations for exporting by our very first speaker, Jitin, who's also joined by his team here, Sanju and Mark, which will then be followed by a presentation by Harib on the prevalent procurement practices in the UAE. We will then invite our third speaker, Zach, to talk a little bit about content and imagery considerations while running marketing activities in the UAE and across the region. We will be taking questions between the presentations and after the presentations as well, depending on how much time we have. Just a quick few house rules. We will be recording this session, and the recordings will be sent across to all the registrants and the participants that have joined us today. We will also be sending a feedback form, a survey essentially. If you can fill that out, that would be quite useful as well. Here are our speakers for today. The first one is me. I may look a little different. This was taken back in the day, but the rest of them pretty much match what we're seeing right now. So these are our speakers for today from SGS, from the Musa Group, and from ZAC Multimedia. With that, I will very quickly introduce myself and ourselves at the British Centers for Business for those who aren't familiar with who we are. So we have partnered with the Department for International Trade since April 2016 and have been instrumental in 93 million plus pounds worth of export wins during the time that we have been contracted by the DIT. We're also quite active in the field of having led very many trade missions, one of which is going on right now as we speak. And as part of our incubator platform, we've also helped over 45 companies set up with us, wherein we essentially provide a soft launch pad for companies who are who are trying to make it as hassle-free as possible. As some of you may know, it's not a very straightforward path when you're entering the UAE as an export market. Next slide, please. Some of our partners, we work with the devolves, also along with some of our professional partners and private sector partners like Santander and the British Business Group and the UAE UK Business Council. Next slide, please. So, in relation to construction and related industries, what we have seen is a very pertinent trend in that, the number of inquiries have increased for us over the last 2 quarters, 3 quarters, as a matter of fact. And as more and more companies from the UK are now looking to enter the UAE market, some of the logos that you're seeing there are clients that have entered the UAE market, and as a matter of fact, have done exceptionally well for themselves in this market because of all the help that has been extended to them by the DIT and the BCB. Next slide, please. That's a very quick snapshot of some of the services that we offer. Everything from B2B introductions to site selection to trade mission support, really whatever shape and form it takes for companies to succeed in this market, we are able to provide bespoke services to them. Next slide, please. This is just a very, short slide on the incubator platform that we offer, what I was referring to earlier. 5 years of soft landing with us, and quite simplistic exit plans also, should things not work out for you. But basically, the BCB takes on most of the legwork when you're wanting to set up here in this part of the world. So that's us. As you can see, quite a diverse team between us. We speak 7 different regional languages. We're 13 of us. And the 2 offices that you see in there is because we are part of another company called OCO Global, which is headquartered in Belfast, as a matter of fact. And there you see all the different offices that we have across the globe, which means that we're not just able to help you here in the UAE, but across the different continents and geographies that you see on there. So that's a very quick overview of who we are, who the British Centers for Business is, and our parent company, OCO Global. And I would now like to invite our first speaker, Jitin John, who is the section head for the Certification Center at SGS. SGS is a prominent organization in the region, and has been around long enough, and one of our trusted partners that work with companies across the sectors from the UK. Over to you, Jitin, now.
Thank you so much, Vinita, for that sweet introduction from your side. Well, my name is Jitin. I've been working with SGS for the past 5 to 6 years, and we are, as part of UAE's trusted certification body, we are under a scope of leading testings, verification, inspection services that are being conducted around the globe. SGS Dubai is the key office for the Middle East region. Next slide, please. We have offices that are being located around UAE, Saudi, Oman, Qatar, Bahrain. Right now, I'm speaking to you from Bahrain, and I have my colleagues who are located in the Dubai office, Mr. Sanju, who is the marketing and the strategy manager. And I have my colleague, Mr. Mark, who has been in the field of construction for the past 8 years, directly on field. And we had actually recruited him because of his deep knowledge regarding the products that are being used for the UAE. And right now, what we do is we are mainly focused on to the products that are being shipped to Saudi, and there are products that are being shipped into the UAE also. We have offices, and sorry to miss out, we have offices in UAE which are located in Abu Dhabi, and we have 2 offices that are being located in Dubai. Next slide, please. Generally, we are being accredited for these certain standards, that is 17020, 17021, 17065, 9001, and 17025. 17020, 2165 are generally given for the certification bodies. 9001 is for the QMS of the factories, or maybe the 9001 that is being installed in our management system. And 17025 is for the labs that are being operated by our office. We are a notified body, as mentioned. We are being notified for ESMA, for SASO, for GSO, halal certifications, and SFDA. SFDA is for the food and drugs, and halal is for the food products, mainly because of the cuttings that are being provided for the region that we are located. We have labs which are being useful for the oil and gas industry, for the environmental. We are installing a new lab for the fire products and for the construction material right next to the Dubai office, and we have the food lab as well. So, as an introduction, we are actually strategic partners for the government authorities like the ESMA, SASO certifications, GCC accreditation services. That's called the JAC, the Dubai municipality. And we have a verified exports program that's mentioned as the Dubai Exports, where we actually verify the exporters who's actually sending the material to UAE. Next slide, please. The major services that are being provided from our end is the product conformity assessment procedures that are being conducted for each country, which is mainly depending on the country instructions. From our office, we are handling for the Middle East and North Africa sectors, and then we do have testing services where we actually give the confirmation to the clients that the product is as per the specific standard based on the ISO 17025 certification. We do give technical analysis and support for products and for SFDA products mainly because the government is more strict and stringent on the food and drugs that are being imported into the Saudi market. UAE has a regulation, but they are still yet to implement more strict and stringent ones, which I can explain to you in the future slides. These are the conformity assessments that we actually do around the globe. Few I can explain the ones which is for ECAS, that is for Emirates. The SASO is for Saudi Arabian Standard Organization. Then we do SQM, that's quality mark, and for Saudi. And then we have EQM, that is for Emirates quality mark. These marks are being used. We as a certification body, we confirm to the country stating that the product that is being shipped into the country are based on the country requirements. So based on that, you can see SONCAP. SONCAP is mainly for Nigeria. So the African side is also covered. Then we have the G marks. G marks are mainly used for the toys and I believe for the automotive sectors also, automotive sectors, and then the electrical component products. We do give the G mark certifications. It's mandatory for UAE. Next slide. Okay, so when we actually come into the regulatory requirements for UAE, the main certification body, you can call it, for Emirates is called ESMA. They are called the Emirates Standard and Metrology Authority, who is the main standard body who is responsible for the release of any product standards that has to be given into the country. Mainly, the country is looking into products like paints, water fixtures, automatic doors, windows, PPE products, which they are more concerned about because it is, mainly the product can affect to the human nature when it's being installed in a system. We do have, then further, there are approvals from the Dubai municipality, and also there are approvals from the Dubai Civil Defense when it comes to products which are fire rated. Next slide, please. Basically, for the compliance requirement for the products that are being shipped to UAE, we do not have a specific requirement when it comes to the clearing of the border. You can bring the material to UAE, but once it is being bought to the country, there is, the product that are being installed in the system has to be pre-approved by the Dubai Civil Defense. Plus, there are certification bodies that are being approved by the Dubai municipality, and from there they actually redirect you to the Dubai Civil Defense, where you have to get your product tested, and the conformity assessment takes place with these approved certification bodies. Once this meeting is done, I can share you a couple of links in which you will be redirected to a website for Dubai municipality, where you can see the products which are requiring the conformity assessment, which has to be done before you come to UAE. But for the construction side of view, as I told, there is nothing that you need to give in the border, but the basic requirements like the health certificates, the certificate of analysis, the certificates of the manufacturers like the 9001, 14001. Then if it's a trader or if it's a manufacturer, the person who or the entity who is actually supplying the product needs to have a declaration of conformity stating that these products are being produced and manufactured as per a specific standard, so the country knows that this is coming from this particular country. Next slide. So the major category of products that are being involved in for testing, which is voluntary for testing as per the civil defense, is the steel product, the cement, the sanitary wares, which are more of high risk as per the countries that are being located around UAE. Like for instance, which I'll be sharing to you the requirements of Saudi also parallelly once we are done with UAE. And then we have requirements for the doors and windows, shutters, the coatings that are being used for maybe for the steel products or the plates, coils, and then we have panels, and then we have special requirements for the sandwich panels that are being imported to UAE, which needs a specific fire testing. Next slide. So majorly voluntary certifications are applicable for the products, and the below the mentioned ones are the authorized government approved bodies who is actually doing the testing and the certification or the conformity assessment. ESMA is as I explained, it's the Emirates Authority for Standardization. They decide on which standard a product falls on, or it is being categorized, or how we can test it and how it has to be installed in a system in UAE. Dubai Central Laboratory is the approved lab or the major lab which is being focused by the government for testing the material, because they are the one who is being studying or researching on the products that can be installed or the nature of products that can be installed in the construction site. Then we have civil defense, the Dubai Civil Defense, the authority who is responsible for the fire testing of any product that reaches UAE. Then we have the Dubai municipality, who is actually the main governing authority for the Dubai Civil Defense and Dubai Central Laboratory. So once the initial stage is, we need to get in touch with the Dubai municipality, and before that, once a construction is being planned, there would be a plan that is being maybe drawn by the architects, and further these drawings has to be approved by Dubai municipality and Dubai Civil Defense, where the materials needs to be provided before the construction. That's how the certification process runs for UAE. Then this slide states to you where ESMA is a certification body who is actually releasing certificates under ECAS. That is called, the product certification is called ECAS. They are the one who's actually releasing the certificates. Then we have Dubai municipality, who is in with the Dubai Central Laboratories, who actually assist us in the quality marks required, or if the product certification is enough before you ship to UAE. Next slide. Then we have the Emirates quality mark, which is a quality mark same like Saudi quality mark. There's it's a logo that is being placed on the product for which the quality mark assessment takes place. We are one of the authorized certification bodies for EQM, where we have certified major products like the electrical products, but for the construction site products, it is not required for now. Civil defense COCs are required for the products that are being mandatory for fire rated or for the fire products as per the UAE fire code, which is being mentioned. There are certain products which are being mentioned in the fire code. As per that, we need to get the product tested from the civil defense. So there is a COC that's being issued. That is about UAE. And once you come to Saudi Arabia is more strict and stringent on the products that are being shipped to Saudi. Earlier, during the certification, we used to have a process called the normal COC, where technical analysts like me used to review the testing products. And in case if it is required, we would be doing an inspection on site for the product, which is a basic conformance that was done. Right now, the country has actually shifted to a deeper requirement where there is a platform called SABA system. Sabre platform is a platform in which it connects the importer in Saudi plus the certification bodies. So basically, the importers are supposed to register themselves from the Saudi side, get their username and passwords, which is like a portal. They add the product into the system, and once it is a regulated product, to differentiate between regulated and non-regulated, there are two sections of products, which is if a product is required for a safety compliance as per the Saudi country code, it comes under the regulated category. When it comes under the non-regulated category, those are basic products which is depending on the HS code, which does not need much of a technical analysis. So once if a product is a regulated material, basically when you focus onto the construction side, could you just change the slide? Because I was, yeah. Once we find out that the product is a regulated material mainly for the construction products, we are supposed to conduct a factory audit that is mandatory as per SASO. Plus, the testing of the material needs to be conducted from an ISO 17025 accredited lab. Once these both parameters are completed, we will be issuing a certificate under the importer's name, which is valid for 1 year. And in this 1 year, they will be able to ship the same material from the same factory, same country of origin, n number of times based on the shipment certificate and the final invoice. So that's how the certification happens for Saudi. And when you compare with Saudi and UAE, it's more easy to bring the product to UAE, and then once the installation takes place, we have the approvals that needs to be taken place by the Dubai municipality or the Dubai Civil Defense. So mainly we are connected for when it comes to the SASO Salim program. Salim is the program which is connected for Sabre. In this, we are mainly connected for the Ministry of Commerce and the SASO authority, the General Customs Authority, where we are in touch with the border connections, and then we are the conformity body like SGS. Next slide, please. Yes. So the when you look into the products for construction, these are the major technical regulations that are being applied by the country, like the metals and alloys, hydraulic binders and related products, sanitary wares, and tubes and pipes. So they have actually 5 categories for construction. And based on these regulations, there are specific standards that are being adopted by SASO. For instance, there is an international standard called as ASTM 836, but the standard has been adopted by SASO, which is called as SASO ASTM 836. So similarly, each of these regulations are having specific standards. And based on that, we will be certifying the product, which is valid for 1 year. In case if the product, next slide, please. In case if the product is actually mandatory for Saudi quality mark, which is also, we can review it based on the technical side. Like for now, SQM is mandatory for all reinforced products that are being shipped to Saudi. So basically, you need a Saudi quality mark if you need to send a reinforced bar or any product that is based on reinforcement. Right now, recently, before 6 months, they had actually made the flat steel products also under the mandatory category for SQM. So right now, major manufacturers are also running for the SQM certifications, which we are also doing parallelly. And then the type of audits that, like, if you can see the slide, we have 3 types of audits that are being taking place, or the type of certification. There is type 1A, type 3, and type 5. Type 5 is the audit scheme that is being mentioned for SQM. Saudi quality mark. The type 3 is for the other products that are under construction. It falls under the requirement, and but the quality mark is not required. And there is type 1A, which is, for doors and windows product, we do type 1A, where we can just do the technical analysis of the test report, which is from a 17025, and we can release the certificates. Further, there are certifications for sanitary ware products, which are majorly products which is having the flow of water in the system, like the showers, or maybe the taps, which is called the well certification, where we analyze the flow rate of the product the water flow rate. And there's a certification that is being given by the Saudi team, which is called the well certification, water efficiency label, and that can be placed on the product as well. Then there are, like as I've mentioned, there are fire products that are being compliant to the fire code for Saudi also. So we need to follow the Saudi building code and fire code in case if it is complying to the fire rating or if it is a fire equipment. Next slide. This is the logo that is being placed for the Saudi quality mark, which you can see on the screen. And like we have mentioned, the products like ACPs, aluminum composite panels, the flat steels, the reinforced products, ceramic tiles, etc., requires an SQM mandatory for now to Saudi. And once we issue the SQM also, there could be market surveillance that is taking place in Saudi, where the authority directly goes to the market, picks a sample, gets the material tested. So that's how the country is being strict and stringent on all the products that are being shipped to Saudi. Next slide. So as I've mentioned, this is the flow chart which you can see, in which we have categorized the process into 4 stages. The first stage, as I've mentioned, it is the importer registration that needs to be taken place on the Sabre system. And then the importer selects the certification body who they are more comfortable with. Further, we get the product, the addition of the product that is taking place by the importer. And if the product is a non-regulated product, the stage goes directly to the shipment certificate stage, where they can take a self-declaration and release a certificate. In case if it is a regulated product, like I've told, we will be going forward with the testing and the auditing of the factories. Once we release a certificate, they can apply for a shipment certificate, and with a prior approval from our side, they can clear the border with the shipment certificate that is being released from the system. Next slide. Yeah, these are the pre-shipment inspections that we actually carry out based on the voluntary requirement of an exporter or an importer. Mainly it comes from the importer, where the importer requires a third-party body who actually informs them or gives them a report stating that the product that is being shipped from that particular country is of their requirement. So we do a pre-production inspection. We do a production inspection that is being happening on the production line. Then there is a pre-shipment inspection which is done in the warehouses, where the product will be loaded into the trucks. Then there are warehouse surveillance inspections, where we check whether the product is as per, is stored or presumed in a specific condition, so that there is no damages that take place on the product when it's shipped to the particular country. Then once the product reaches the country also, we can do an inspection where our inspectors would be there in the port. They open the seal and they check whether the product is safe to be released out of the port. The next slide. Yeah, so that's the detailed review about the products and how the certification point of view for UAE and KSA. So in case if you have any doubts, maybe you can take it forward to me.
Thank you very much, Jitin, for that. I have a quick question here, and I think it's a pretty straightforward answer for you. The question being, do you offer halal certification for Kuwait? Because Marion here works with a company who's currently having issues with this on goods arriving in the country.
Is it the Kuwait?
Yes, it is to Kuwait.
Sanju, can you just take forward the question?
Hello. What exactly we are accredited under GSO for the widest range of certification for halal. That includes products, plant-based, animal-based, processes, food preparation units, etc. And also cosmetics and personal care. So we need to understand what exactly is the product so as to advise you. So
this is meat products apparently.
Can be done.
Okay.
And this is for catering to GCC as a complete market as such. And also I would want to reiterate or maybe substantiate here that we are exclusively accredited or approved by ESMA for the halal certification in UAE, and by SFDA, Saudi Food and Drug Authority in Saudi Arabia, to issue certifications, halal certification and halal shipment certificate, so that the entire organization and the product set is certified, and each shipment that is entering into Saudi Arabia is certified. So these
So
are two
it's
specific
specifically
to
for, so this is
UAE and
specifically
Saudi.
for Kuwait.
Yeah,
So are you able to help them in Kuwait as well?
Kuwait will be generic to GCC. So
Okay.
and yeah, so
Okay. All right.
answer is yes.
It can be done.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Great. Also, a quick question from my side. So, Jitin, you mentioned there a fair bit about importers, taking the initiative to get certifications done. Have there been instances where the manufacturers themselves, I mean, in this case from the UK, I mean, what's the process here? Do they first identify a local importer, agent, distributor, call it
No,
what you
it's not like, see, basically, once if there is a manufacturer who is located in UK,
will?
maybe they manufacture products like beams, because I'm more
Mm,
into those categorized products, so I
mm,
can explain in that zone. So what the manufacturer does is that they find out, initial stage is that they find out if they can have a sole supplier that is located in KSA. Once
mm.
they find out a supplier, the supplier, I mean the importer or the
Importer.
supplier, yeah, the importer who is actually there inside, who can actually do the local supplies. That's what I.
Mm.
Yeah. So they will have to be registered onto the portal, onto the
Okay,
SAP
okay.
portal, and from there they will raise the request. We will get the request, and once the request is being raised, we will be getting in touch with the manufacturer where the audit and testing takes place in their facility.
Okay. So the onus is not on the manufacturer, in this case from the UK, to go in there and get the certifications done. The first step would be to identify an importer who can
Yes.
bring their products into the country, and then it is up to the agent, the distributor, the importer to
Yes.
undertake all of these different
Yes,
steps. Yes.
basically for this, the portal is created by the customs is because they want all the importers who is located in UAE to have a valid license and office,
Okay.
which they can later trace on where the product has reached from.
Right, right. Okay, understood. Great. Thank you for taking my questions, Jitin and Sanju. I will now move on to my next speaker, who is Harab and who's been waiting quite patiently. So, Harab, thank you for waiting, and please, the floor is all yours. Harab is joining us from Bin Musa Group, and he a part of a prominent construction company here in the UAE, and he will be sharing some of his thoughts on the prevalent procurement practices, some of the factors that come into play when they are procuring materials for various construction projects that they're involved in. Over to you, Harold.
Right, Vinitha, thank you so much for that nice introduction. Am I audible well?
Yes, you are.
Okay, and thank you, Jitin, for the informative presentation. Actually, even we learned a pretty lot about the certifications part of it. Yeah, going. So now, how do we collaborate? That's the question being asked to me, or that's what I'm supposed to be here to talk about. Being a business development manager, I get a lot more opportunity to collaborate whenever I'm about to network with the people who is being coming into the picture for any trade deals or anything like that, and that makes me to turn out these into a mutual benefit and a window of opportunities, right? Brook and Ripples being, can we go to the next slide, please? Brook and Ripples being headquartered in Dubai and established in 2004. Actually, we are part of Bin Musa Group, which is a renowned business conglomerate here in the country, and being established for more than 40 years approximately. So we are into engineering and construction of swimming pool and water features. We do design, construction, testing, commissioning, and maintenance of swimming pools, water features, and we act as a one-stop shop for the solutions. And our customers get a turnkey solution for whenever they look into an area that has to be developed. At times, we take up landscape also, so that our customers doesn't want to go and look at another knock for another door to get the landscape done for a small area, even for the hotels or even for the homes or private projects, whatever. So talking about it, Actually, we have done 2,000 plus installations in the past 15 years, in which of them are 300 plus are of major projects, which includes like competition, Olympic pools, practice pools, semi-Olympic pools, diving pools, commercial and residential projects, and then also like the hotel pools, the commercial hotel pools, which are even the iconic hotels in our country. So at Procurement Ripples, when we go to when we go to the procurement side, actually most of our manufacturers have a representation office in our region. You know, like if you go to an example like Fluidra or Aqua or even Certican, which was from the UK, they had a registered office here in Jebel Ali in Long. Why? Because they can reach to their customers very well in that way. Even then, we have the three companies which we are representing at this moment. So the first one is Sandom, which is a swimming pool equipment manufacturer based in Turkey, and they have been established in early 80s. And since then, they were trying to get into the UAE market, which was not able to materialize somehow, you know, the thing. And I happened to meet them back in 2012. And when we had a discussion in one of the comment for, as I told you, like networking, and we had a discussion how to do it. So what we did like we are, as I told you, we are involved in the design stage. So what we do is that we specify these things whenever it comes to the design stage itself, so that these products will have its place in at the time of execution, you know, so that mostly the projects which we design, it comes back to us for the at the construction stage. So that's how we gave them an entry to the UAE market. And then since then, we are actually continuously grown the relationship, and it's going on well now. Going back to the next one, it is Shikoku Chemical Corporation. No, the same slide, please. The Shikoku Chemical Corporation, they are the biggest chemical manufacturing, water treatment chemical manufacturing company in Japan. What we are associated with them is for the water sanitation chemicals, basically like dichloro or trichloro, which usually used for water sanitation in swimming pools and water features. So actually, we are this. Why I am mentioning this? This is not directly handled with Shikoku. What they do is that they are the biggest chemical manufacturer. Even they produce chemical for the petroleum industry even. So they cannot have a single person who handle all their products in them. So what they do, you know, you might have heard of Mitsui and company. They are the second biggest trade house company in Japan. So they are facilitating their the Shikoku's requirements, and they are identifying and segregating the products and identifying the Shikoku's different products and channelizing their distribution through the vendors who are strong in that particular sphere of business, so that you have a good partnership for each and every material. Then going back to Sitai, they are a subsidiary of a company called Compound Clay in Thailand, who has all related to the clay, like the pottery, ceramic, everything. And these are the swimming pool tiling production company who has a special tiles with crackled glass, and we are the exclusive agent for this particular product in the UAE. We can go to the next slide for the group. So going back to Binmusa Group, actually established back in 1979 by our chairman, engineer Sayyid Muhammad Musa Al-Kubaisi. And he was graduated from Swansea University in UK. So we have our relationship with the UK since early or mid 70s, you know. And after the successful start, what we did was that the group extended to the lead, direct advise and manage the group members as completely owned companies, or even partnership companies, or even simply as a sponsored companies. When we come into the companies, I will explain you about it. Yeah. So today, what the group objective extends the opportunities, which include investment, management, representation, and trading with local and international companies. Yeah. Moreover, we lay the policies of our associates without interfering in their day-to-day business activities. So that's the third part, which is sponsorship, what I told you. So as a part of diversification policy, we are now into different sectors from real estate, construction, trading, manufacturing, technology, healthcare, travel and tourism. Over the years, we have been very strong, reliable, and the preferred strategic partner for many regional and international companies. So naming them, I could name them. See, I just put, if you go to the company tabs, you might find a list of 30 companies. So I just put a handful of them, which are familiar to everybody, so that we can just see what it is. So Shinryo Corporation is about hot and cold. It's from Japan, and they are working with the HVAC company, HVAC products, hot and cold, and industrial manufacturer and supplier about the installations. And also Arkiroden, everybody knows they are based, started in Netherlands maybe 100 years ago, and we are representing them here in the United Arab Emirates. And then this goes to CRL. Actually, CRL is a UK-based company again. We are representing them here in the United Arab Emirates. WT Petrotech, it is an integrated control and safety system company. It's an originated company from the USA, and we are having even investment and partnership in this company in the UAE operations. So Bauer Middle East. Bauer is the major infrastructure company which is based in Germany, and Bauer Middle East is one of our subsidiaries working here in the UAE. Again, WSP doesn't needs an introduction actually. Engineering and design solutions for complex projects, which includes energy, environment, healthcare, high-rise, maritime, rail, and transit, whatever you call it, they are doing it. So again, it goes to the strategy where we work like we are the facilitator for them, and we are not involved in any of their operations, but we are the sponsor for the WSP company. And if you talk about Musa Dali, basically it was earlier called as Bin Musa and Dali. So Bin Musa and Dali was established in 1950 years ago, actually, by our chairman and Mr. Michael Dali from Australia. And we are into everything about water, which is domestic, industrial, or commercial purposes, like whether it is a drinking water or whether it is a sewerage. So, and we represent the Davy company from Australia for more than 50 years. So, and again, there is one thing which is missed here. It is called Bin Musa and Debbas. We represent the Bega lights from Germany, and several other light brands actually. Then going back to Zedo skincare, it is Zain Obagi. That is the cosmetic products. What they are? It's a patented brand. What we are representing here in UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. So we can go to the next slide. So highlights of the business partnership. Actually, it could be exclusive trade partnership for the region. Why? Exclusive trade partnership is an agreement what we can make with a company who will have the exclusivity for a regional contract, and that region will be completely owned by them, whether the inquiry comes from the customer directly to the manufacturer or supplier outside, or whether they route it through any other company. This has to be managed and facilitated by the local company. So we have a contract for it to manage and review it, and review the performance, how it is going, and periodically assess what's happening, how the performance is going, and amend the contract accordingly over a period of time. Then open policy to serve directly to customers. See this actually we have seen several companies. I can take an example from UK itself. Dantham was doing it. Dantham had a sales manager here in the UAE. They had a registered office and a sales manager here in the UAE who was handling the sales for all over the UAE. And we used to buy heat pumps and chillers from them for the swimming pools and spas, which I remember. I just take it as an example for what it goes with the open policy. Even there are sometimes there are flaws also with this situation when it comes to the after sale service, which I will come to that point when we come to the later in the other slide. So proactive business deals with local sponsor. This is exactly what we are doing with WSP or Arkiroden. when it comes to the business. Like we facilitate whatever they want. We are financially, financially and resourcefully capable to do all these things. So just we facilitate to do their business and they do their operations. So that is the business deals that we can have with local sponsors here in the UAE. But only thing is that you have to take care about the the sponsors, what you are going to get dealt with, and their credibility and reliability, of course. Then independent operation from the free zones. Independent operations from the free zones means, as I told you in the earlier, like what Fluidra or Aqua and all are doing here, it is that you can have a direct company set up here in the free zone and operate accordingly as you start as a new company here. So the limitation about this is that it can be very good for a trading platform, but it will not be very good for a service or contracting or construction platform, because the resources what you can have in the free zone is very minimal. So if you want to trade something with a minimum team keeping here for the sales and service, yes, you can have a fully owned company by the foreign company in the free zone. So we can go to the next slide actually. Associating with credible business houses. So that's the checkpoints you have to go when you enter into the market. So it's like, I mean, again, the word itself explains that, you know, the credibility of the business houses, what you're going to associate with. You can probably do the check on how you can make it possibly, and then check for the financial, technical, and logistical capabilities of the company. Probably you can have exchange of the financial statements for the past few years after having an NDA signed between you people, and having their technical assessment about their technical team and logistic capabilities, like when how often they can take care of your orders to deliver on time and give the services, support, etc. after the sales. And sales and marketing strategies, of course, Mr. Zach might be having a word over it, so I don't want to take much time over that. And after sales service, which I came to the point, I would like to take it as an example. You know, like when we had a purchase last year from the United States actually, and once you do it, you finish the job and you come out of it. Then what happens is that it was working on the same strategy as I told, like the done them before. You know, they were having a sales manager here, and they were associating with somebody who is doing the services for them, which is a third party basically. So the problem was that it's not the installation and the commissioning was done by the third party, but the problem was that, you know, the spares was not available. So you have a sales guy here, you have a service team here, but if your spares are not available, then that is the issue. But if you have an exclusive trade agreement, or if you have an exclusive trade agreement with somebody, they will not be hesitating to have your spare parts here in stock to do your service in this thing. So in which this will be the one, the best part to have it. So, and identifying potential partners. So through consultants, this is what we are having right at the moment now. And commercial department contacts, I would give you an example, like what last time, the commercial attaché of the Czech Embassy Republic for the Expo 2020 site, Czech Pavilion, is being done by one of my clients who is having a lot of projects. We have worked together, and we happened to meet there with the commercial attaché, and we exchanged our contacts each other. And later I was called by him to facilitate for him for a company who was looking for a suitable partner here in the UAE, where I helped him and it materialized actually. So I have a ready reference for you. Even out of the group, we are doing the same thing, you know. So everybody is open to come for it if they have anything to be asked. And through local trade houses with international process, which I told about Mitsui earlier actually. You know, the Mitsui was doing this facilitation for Shikoku. Like both are Japanese companies, and the Shikoku, Mitsui has a lot of investments and operations here in the United Arab Emirates, where they will help Shikoku to find their suitable partner for each and every segment of the products they are having to do it. we'll go to the next slide. So what are the opportunities? It's a lucrative market, of course, $50 billion approximately. And all segments of customers are available here. Like, you have from the luxurious palaces until you have the Lego, the accommodations for the working class people, which is a very general, a very normal this thing. And you have continuous flow of projects, which we have at least the projects declared until Vision 2030. So at least the next 10 years we are occupied. So you have a continuous flow of projects actually, and logistically important. As you know, just if you take the example for the COVID vaccine distribution, why we are taken Abu Dhabi as the best, because as the best logistic partner of the COVID vaccine distribution. Two-thirds of the world population are reachable in just 4 hours. So that is the best example for about taking UAE as the logistic hub. And so whatever you want to reach into this country, it's very easy to. Every day you have connectivity to across the globe. So that's it. We can go to the next slide. So what are the threats? This is the most important point everybody misses, and this is one which I have to be very patient about. And as Vinitha was saying earlier, I was very patient because I have got seasoned with this kind of experiences. Like if you put a tender for something, then it will take ages to get finalized that tender. That is the first thing. So what is the risk in that? The risk in that is that the pricing risks, the currency changes. What happens? I have a contract finalized with somebody for an exterior purchase. Actually, it was around 700, 800,000 euros. And the problem is that we entered into the contract in December 2019, and the project got stalled in like during the COVID period. And once it started resuming, the euro was getting over the dollar, and we are pegged with dollar. So the cost was actually going in a difficult situation. And what we did is that we went back to the date where we signed the contract, and we freeze the value for the total order, because it's partial delivery again, because it was a huge quantity of material. So this is one of the important point that has to be taken. Unrealistic project completion demand from the client. That is the added up cost. What is it? It is like we take ages to finalize the project, but once we finalize, we need the delivery by yesterday. This is the another important thing which you will see in the construction market, especially in the UAE. So what will add up your cost? Your cost will be added up with two things basically. One is that you need to have resources to increase the production and meet the demand on time. And secondly, you need to have may have to take it by air freight to reach the destination on time. And then pricing adjustment to fit in the value engineering proposal. Your client and consultant will come anytime, even if you are entered into the contract, they will come and ask that, yes, we need to do a redesign, we need to cancel it, we need to rearrange it. So you should be ready with all the technical backups. So we must have a plan B, how it is going to be if there is a redesign, how we are going to address it. Then the thing is that unavailability of stock. Same as we go to the point number 2, unrealistic completion dates will have the same effect on the unavailability of stock. So, and then the abundance of low quality materials, and we saw it, like the Chinese market, they are keeping huge amount of stocks here in the UAE. And then I saw like I had a requirement of 2,200 square meter of tiles here in the UAE, actually for the one of my project. And then it was available right there in their warehouse. I was surprised to see even Arake Ceramics was not able to meet that demand. We can go to the next slide. So what is it? It's just that it comes. We are open for the opportunities to make it meaningful and beneficial. World is abundant of opportunities. So when it turns out to be a meaningful partnership, it comes beneficial for everybody. So together we will make it like we can. It's all about networking. Teamwork will do the. Teamwork will give you the results what you are expecting, and you are welcome to have any questions or anything personally. You can send it later on, so that I'll be more happy to answer you. And thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Arab. And I think you make a very important point there for UK companies to undertake proper due diligence. Most importantly, when they're looking for partners in the UAE, I think that is very, very important, especially in this part of the world, because there are so many entities out here who claim to be all high and mighty. But I
That's
think
true.
it's, yeah, but
That's true.
you need to have that network to ascertain what kind of partnerships you're forming.
Definitely,
So
yes.
yeah, and again, to all the companies, I would request that make use of the network that is available to you through the Department for International Trade, through the BCB, through us. As you can see, we have solid speakers for all of our sessions, and we ensure that you're speaking to the right people in the region. Thank you, Arup, once again for your
Thank you
time.
so much, Vinita. Even though I was running out, I just wanted to fit
No,
in.
no, you covered every point that was very, very pertinent. So
All
thank
right.
you for
So
that.
being rushing, actually, I was just getting a bit of, yeah.
No, no problem. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks.
And thank you. And now we will move on to our next speaker, Zach. I'm sorry, but we're a little pressed for time here. But we would still would like to hear from you on what exactly should be some of the considerations when companies undertake marketing in this part of the world. So over to you now, Zach. If you can unmute yourself. You're still on mute, Zach. There you go. Yes.
Thank you, Vinita, for your kind words, and thanks, Sanju, Jitin, and Harold for a very interesting session. So, may we have the next slide, please? Right. So, what I'm trying to do here is give you a broad brushstroke about the marketing scenario and the PR scenario, the communication scenario that exists in the UAE, and the specific points and the kind of intricacies that you need to look at when you try to get into this market. So, since Vinita has given me a warning to make it very short, let me make it quite snappy. Zach Multimedia was established in 2006. Before that, I was handling marketing and sales for banks here like ANZ Greenlace Bank, RAG Bank, First Gulf Bank. Now, some of the stuff that we try to do is, strategize and execute transformative and disruptive stuff for corporates. Like when we saw that the New York Times were in deep financial trouble some time back, and they were planning to sell their headquarters, we came up with a very disruptive strategy called the audacity of conviction. We wrote to the CEO and chairman and when presented it to them, and they have used all our ideas. So that in nutshell kind of gives you the kind of stuff that we attempt to do. Next slide, please. Yeah, let me give you a very, very overview of the UAE market itself. Currently, the population is about 9.9 million, edging towards the 10 million mark. The World Bank figures say it is around 9.7, but you roughly get the idea of the size of the market. If you look at the age-wise skew of the market, it's between 25 and 24 is where the main majority of the the spread is. So it's quite young market. And as you can see, the median age is very young. It's around 34. And then you have the nationals versus expats split, which is again very key to give an indication of the market. It tells you very clearly that the expats form about 88%, 89%, and the Emiratis, who are the local UAE nationals, are about 11%. And if you look at the breakdown of the expat population itself, you see that the majority is from South Asian countries, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan. And if you look at the gender-wise split, it's about 72% male and 28% female. So that gives you a very snapshot view of the market. Next slide, please. Can I have the next step?
Zach, are you able to see the slides? Because your video seems to be stuck.
Oh,
Zach,
I may not even.
Zach, are you able to hear us?
Can you?
Zach, you're cutting off. I think we may have lost Zach there. I can't seem to be able to see him or hear him. Zach, are you able to join us?
Do you get me?
Connection
Yeah.
glitch.
Are you able to see the slide, Zach?
Yeah.
I think Zach may have logged off there. And I will try and pick up. Zach has joined us back. Zach, you're on mute. If you can unmute yourself and just let us know if you're able to see the screen and the slides.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we heard that where you asked us if you can hear you. Yes, I think we should be able to see you and hear you now. So if you want to continue. Oh, no, I think we have an issue there. Zach
Yep, I'm
was,
fine.
so Zach had was kind enough to send us the deck before coming on to the workshop today. So I can, try and pick up while he's trying to join us back. I guess the point he was trying to make is because it is such a bilingual country, not bilingual, I think multilingual country, so to speak. The marketing communication needs to be quite sophisticated and needs to cater to expats as well as locals here. So having said that, we have very many expats and locals in the decision making um, bits there. And just pertaining to this specific slide, uh, we have very many agencies.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Zach.
Yeah, okay. Now, have you jumped to the next slide or have you lost one in between?
I think we're on marketing and communication. Slide. Are you able to see that?
Oh yeah, I'm able to see her. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. If you can
Yeah.
just pick it
Okay.
up from there.
So, sure. Sorry about that.
No problem.
I guess that is something that we have to be very careful of this information overload. So, yeah, let me get back to the slides and getting back to my sense that some of the top operators in advertising agencies and also on the vendor side, they all operate in this market. So it is quite a mature market, and unlike some of the other countries in the area, they're very brand conscious and they're very image conscious. So a lot of companies do spend a lot of their marketing budgets and resources to make sure that the communications is quite savvy. Can we go to the next slide, please? Again, what also a new entrant to the market needs to take care of is the kind of strict socio-cultural values and mores that the market has. Though it is a very, one of the most dynamic, one of the most innovative and very tolerant market, it is also quite conservative in the sense that the UAE nationals are very religious and they try to become more try to tend to be more conservative in their approach towards things. So it pays for the advertiser, the marketer, to make sure that it kind of is in sync with the socio-cultural mores of the country. Next slide, please. So, kind of summing up for what we're talking about, it's a very young market, it's a very vibrant market. And because of these, intrinsic nature of the market itself, it's also very connected to the world. If you look at the stats up there on the screen, you'll see that the penetration of the mobile phone, the internet, or the WhatsApp, all the social media platforms, it's all very high, very clearly pointing to the fact that this country, United Arab Emirates, is very connected to the world through the latest possible, technology that is available. Next slide, please. It also, it's very important to note for the consumer, for the marketer, that the consumers in the market are quite tech savvy. Like I said before, the stats indicate that the average Emirati, who is a UAE national, spends about 7 hours, 3 minutes on the internet every day. The frequency of internet usage is very high. Now, the number of times the people get into interact with the media, the social media, and the internet is very high. So Google, YouTube, and Google are the top 3 websites in the UAE. So all these factors very clearly point to the fact that the consumers here are quite tech savvy. Next slide, please. If you look at the kind of stats that are available, almost like 99% of the population is very active on social media. So, and there is in 20 users, the social media usage has been booming with 9.7 million. Nearly 9.7 million users, which is 99% of the population. They are very active on social media. So it again, comes back to what I said before. It's a very young market, it's a very techno-savvy market, and they're all very active on social media. So these are some of the factors that you need to compute when you think of making a marketing, communications, public relations approach into this market. Next slide, please. This slide again shows you some of the social media platforms which are the favorites. Statistics say that Facebook is very, very useful both for personal communications and also for corporate communications. That's a very popular social media platform. Also, very popular are LinkedIn and Pinterest and Tumblr and so on and so forth. Can I see the next slide, please? So this again gives you a snapshot of the very popular chat apps. Next slide, please. Now, with all the strength of the social media and the new technologies, if you're trying to reach the higher top echelons of the market management and things like that, the age group seems to be a little skewed towards the 50 to 60 age bracket. So it is still very pertinent to use the conventional media to get across your message, especially to the key opinion leaders and decision makers in most of these markets. So power of conventional media is obviously one of the most powerful mediums here is the print media, and you have national, which are the famous ones in the English. And then if you look at the Arabic newspapers, you have the Al Khalij and the Al Bayan and the Al Ittihad. So if we're looking at communicating and targeting the upper end of the age bracket, conventional media is very powerful still. Next slide, please. Having said that, it's actually the communications package, whether the integrated, and it's always better to have an integrated communications approach in this market, because you need to have targeting the young, the younger populace with the social media, the elder populace with the conventional media. And again, it's the firm's ambition that actually sets the limit for how we design the package. Ideally, like I said, it's an integrated media approach that should be taken with spent on the print media and the PR approach at events and the conventional stuff, and also a lot of emphasis on digital marketing and the social media. Again, it's most of it is set. It's a function of how much the firm is ambitious. If it is just wants to make a sales-driven B2B kind of an approach, that is possible. And if it wants to, more detailed one, again, that is possible as well. So with that,
Great. Thank you very much for that, Zach. I mean, you're again
we'll
cutting
be
out,
glad
so
to
let me
take
jump
that.
in here quickly. I think that last slide that you made there, Zach, was again quite important. It's very important for companies who are looking to undertake marketing or PR activities to give it a real good think about who it is that they're targeting and who it is that they're wanting to reach out to, and what kind of messaging it is that they want to go out there. Like Zach said, some of the decision makers and the opinion leaders are in the 50 to 60 age group who still very much rely on print media. So if that's the group that they're looking to target, then that's perhaps against what media companies would tell you otherwise about Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram and all of that. Have a real good think about who it is that you're wanting to reach out to. Even when you're coming out for trade shows, for example, if it means that you need to have your marketing collateral ready in Arabic and in English, remember that UAE is a regional hub. So when you're coming out for trade shows here, you're not just getting uh, audience from the UAE, you're getting audience from across the region. And not everybody may be as fluent as they would be in English. So which is why it becomes important to have your marketing collateral ready in both languages in this part of the world. And then again, a major portion of the region speaks English, understands English, reads English, so it caters to them as well. And just a quick point there on WhatsApp that you made there, Zach. Again, a word of wisdom there, so to speak. WhatsApp is very much considered a means of business communication in this part of the world, unlike what happens back in the UK. You may not hear back from people if you email them, but you're pretty much guaranteed a response on WhatsApp. So please make the most of it, download it if you haven't already, and make good use of it to get in touch with people if you have their mobile numbers, or just really pick up the phone and speak to them. There's no nothing that's going to stop you from having to make an appointment to have a conversation. So just pick up the phone and speak to people and have that conversation going. Well, with that, we have really, spilled over time by almost 20 minutes now. But I'd quickly like to thank all of our speakers today. You have all of their contact details right there. Like I said in the beginning, we will be circulating the recording of this, and you should be able to access all the speakers that you heard today, and feel free to reach out to them. And again, I can guarantee you all my speakers will get back to you even on emails if they have to. But they're quite proactive like that. So do reach out to them, and reach out to us if you have to. But that's all we have the time for today. Thank you everyone for joining me today, and take care everyone. Thanks. Bye.